Welcome to Housing After 60. I am Charles Odell. On this site, we analyze the math and the reality of senior housing to find your best options. Let's get started.
Welcome to another deep dive from Mobile Home Friend. Today we are looking at how to replace your mobile home windows the right way, based on our latest research at mobilehomefriend.com. And let me tell you, so many homeowners fall into this really expensive trap, thinking they can just grab any old window off the shelf. We're going to show you how to avoid a massive headache and, well, a literal hole in your house.
Okay, so let's just dive right into it. Section 1, the window replacement trap. This is where a ton of well-meaning DIY projects go completely off the rails, costing folks a lot of time, a lot of money, and believe me, a whole lot of frustration.
You know, this quote from our founder, Chuck Odell, just hits the nail on the head. Imagine this. You found what you think is a fantastic deal on a standard window. You get it home, you get all excited, you tear out your old one, and then nothing. It doesn't fit. The walls are just too thin. It's an awful feeling, and as we're about to show you, it's a completely avoidable mistake.
So here it is, the absolute core reason why that standard window won't work. A mobile home's walls are just built differently than a typical site-built house. We're usually talking about 2x3 or sometimes even 2x2 studs, not those deep 2x6 walls you see in most new construction. And that difference in wall depth is everything. It means your windows have to have a very specific flush mount flange. That's the outer rim that sits flat against your siding, and it has to be designed for these thinner walls.
But you know, getting the wrong fit is really only half the problem. To truly get this right, we need to move into our second section, the science of the leak. Exactly. We have to understand why those old windows fail so spectacularly and cause so much damage in the first place. It's not just about drafts, it's about water.
Yeah, those original single-pane aluminum windows, or those jalousie ones with the overlapping glass slots, we call them controlled leaks. And for good reason. They are just incredibly inefficient. In the winter, all that warm, moist air inside your home hits that freezing cold aluminum and glass, and you get instant condensation. And that constant dripping water is the silent killer of a mobile home. And if you want to get a little technical for a second, the reason they're so bad at their job comes down to something called the U factor. It's really just a simple measurement of how well a window can stop heat from escaping. Just remember, a lower U factor is better. And those old aluminum windows, their U factor is laughably high, which is very, very bad.
And this slide really lays it all out. Aluminum is a fantastic conductor of heat and cold, which is literally the worst thing you want in a window frame. It basically acts like a superhighway, transferring the cold right inside, causing that frame to sweat with condensation. But vinyl, on the other hand, is a poor conductor. It's a roadblock. It acts as a thermal break, and that prevents the dew point from ever forming inside your home. No dew means no drips. It's really that simple.
So you might be wondering, where do all those drips go? Well, they go straight down, inside your wall, and they land right on your subfloor. And that is the final, devastating link in this chain of destruction. As we point out on the site, most mobile home subfloors are made of particle board, which basically acts like a giant sponge. The moment it gets wet, the glue that holds it all together just fails, and it loses almost all of its strength. It pretty much just turns to oatmeal.
Okay, I know, that all sounds pretty bad, and it is. But now for the good news. Let's talk about the actual solution. This brings us to Section 3, the no reframing solution. I want you to think of this less like a demolition project and more like a surgical strike that saves you from a world of expensive structural work.
It really all boils down to this one simple question. How do you perform that surgical strike and get a perfect, totally leak-proof window without having to tear your entire wall apart? And here it is. This is the recipe for success. Now, the single most important part here is number 1. You have to measure the rough opening. That's the actual hole from stud to stud and not the old window frame. That is a critical detail we cover in the article on mobilehomefriend.com. And step 4 is absolutely non-negotiable. You have to apply that butyl flashing tape in what's called a shingle style, which means you start with the bottom piece, then the sides, and the top piece goes on last. Layering it like that means water can never, ever get behind it. And here is the real payoff for doing this yourself. Just look at that labor cost. You're saving a minimum of $150 per window, and depending on where you live, that number could be much, much higher. By following this no reframing method, you're making this a really manageable job for just one person. If you want the full technical breakdown with all the costs and materials, check out the post on mobilehomefriend.com.
All right, that brings us to our final and maybe my favorite part of this whole project, your return on investment. Because this isn't just a repair, it's a true upgrade that adds real, measurable value to your home.
We just saw this number on the last slide, but it's so important it's worth saying again. $150. That's the absolute rock bottom minimum you're going to save on labor costs for every single window just by avoiding reframing. You do a whole house, and you're talking about thousands of dollars that stay right in your pocket.
But the savings don't just stop when the installation is done. Oh no. Modern energy-efficient vinyl windows can seriously slash your monthly heating and cooling bills. We're talking about a reduction of roughly 20%. That's a return on investment you can actually feel in your wallet every single month.
And now, for the big one, $8,000. That's right. Our analysis shows that a full, professional-looking window replacement can add up to $8,000 to your home's resale value. And you might be asking why. Well, it's because it makes the home more financeable. When a buyer's lender sees lower projected utility costs, it actually improves the buyer's debt-to-income ratio, which means they can qualify for a better loan. It's a huge deal.
So let's wrap all this up with a quick checklist you can use. And this is pulled directly from the Mobile Home Friend website article. First, verify your wall thickness and order the window just a half-inch smaller than that rough opening. Use a really good sealant and apply that flashing tape the right way. And please remember to use only low-expansion foam for the gaps inside. You get these things right, and you are all set for success.
So we want to leave you with this one question to think about. After everything we've talked about, the leaks, the rot, the wasted energy, go take a really hard look at your windows. Is your home's biggest weakness hiding right there in plain sight? Thanks for watching. For more guides and the full article on this topic, head over to mobilehomefriend.com. Don't forget to check the links in the description below.
Your peace and enjoyment in retirement depends on the right housing strategy. Visit housingafter60.com for our full analysis and cost transparency guides. I will see you in the next video.